And I remember when I was at the funeral, I ended up seeing his ex-girlfriend there, and I felt really bad. I ended up walking up to her saying, hey, like, I just want to say, like, I'm really sorry for your loss. Oh, thanks, Bubba. You don't understand how much he really cared about you. Like, he was the only guy that was comfortable with you being around me. And then one thing led to another. Let's just say this funeral ended up getting really sus. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing but crazy story. Now, this story takes place back when I was in grade 11. My grade 11 year was one of the years where I'm not gonna lie to you, I was major gamer and major player, meaning that I would always go out and do the devil's tango, but still being able to hit my Call of Duty trick shots. Actually, knowing that BO6 is coming out, honestly, it gets me really excited because I'm gonna be streaming it like all day on Twitch. But going on from there, I remember basically in the middle of my grade 11 year, there was an accident that happened that was really, really bad. Now, I'm not even gonna try to be over dramatic about this. This was a serious moment in my whole high school history that everyone in my school remembers. But basically, apparently one day during lunchtime, there was a guy in the auto shop. Now, this guy, he was loved by a lot of different people, and he was actually pretty popular. And the reason he was popular was his passion for cars and how much he would hang out in the auto shop to basically work on vehicles that he wanted to learn about. But sadly, one day, without supervision, he ended up going there and he ended up doing a massive mistake where he would go under one of the vehicles, and without this vehicle being properly propped up, it ended up landing right onto him. It landed on him and actually ended his life, which honestly, I just want to say quick RIP to him. Rest in peace. I hope you are doing good up there. But knowing this accident happened, I remember out of nowhere, the person that ended up finding the body under the vehicle was his own girlfriend. Now, this guy had a girlfriend that he was dating for like only 6 months, but still, they were pretty close in a relationship. And me, I was close to this guy, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, we were just close because we played rugby together. But when the whole school figured out about the accident, there was a ceremony about it, there was an assembly, there was a lot of things going on. They even hosted like a quiet moment for the whole entire week of his passing, where we would have a moment of silence for him as if he was a fallen soldier. Now, don't get me wrong, having a student in school passing away is very, very sad. And his parents were always like blaming the school, trying to sue him, and it became a really, really big deal in my school. But I remember as a couple months went by, one day I was walking down the school hallway and this girl walks up to me, his ex-girlfriend, I guess I could say now, or would it be widowed girlfriend? I don't really know, to be honest, but basically his girlfriend ended up walking up to me saying, hey, Bubba, I'm handing these out today. Do you want to help me out? Basically, there's a funeral happening and his parents aren't allowed in the school since the whole suing thing. So would you want to help me out and just hand these out real quick? I mean, yeah, sure. I can help hand these out to some of the students he knew and the rugby team if you want. Yeah, that'll be amazing. Thanks. It's been so hard without him. And like, honestly, like I've never felt like myself ever since it happened. And the more she was talking, the more I realized she was going to start crying. So I let her basically vent and let her cry on my shoulder. Now, before anyone says anything, no, I was not in any way attracted to this girl whatsoever. If anything, I looked at her as if she was a widow and I felt bad. And no, I am not attracted to females with dead boyfriends, okay? I'm not insane. But in my mind, I knew he would want me to listen to her, and that's what I did. I heard her talk about all the moments they had and everything, but one thing that she would always bring up as me and her were handing out flyers were how her boyfriend was apparently super comfortable with me being around her. I never understood this, and that's pretty weird to me because he knew 100% I was a major player. But I guess I respected the bro code, and she also respected that from me. And well, one thing led to another. I remember after we handed out a bunch of flyers throughout the school, she looked at me and said, oh, Bubba, is it cool if I get your number? I never ended up getting it because, well, I didn't want to be weird, but you know, since he's gone now, I'm sure he would want me to get your number. Yeah, sure. You can get my phone number. I remember we ended up switching phones and I gave her my number. And I remember there was a girl down the hallway that knew what was going on. And she walked up to me after this widow girlfriend left. She walked up to me and said, Bubba, why are you getting that girl's number? You do realize her boyfriend just died. Yeah, no, I know the guy. And you know, she asked me for it. And you know, I didn't want to say no because I felt bad. So you gave her your number out of pity for her dead boyfriend? Okay, you're actually a jerk. Bro, what? In that situation, I felt like it was a lose-lose scenario. Like there was no possible way I could actually, you know, get away with it. So I just ended up saying, yeah, I guess I'm a jerk for getting her number, even though she asked me for my number. I don't really know. But I remember as a couple days went on, everyone was talking about the funeral and people were reaching out to me, asking me if I was going, asking me if I had a ride and all this stuff. And I said to everyone I knew what I was doing. But on the day of the funeral, well, things got really, really weird because I remember the day of the funeral, we all ended up going to basically the burial grounds and we ended up burying him in his grave. His parents paid for a massive gravestone, by the way, like no joke. Like he could have had a statue of himself at this point. But honestly, like we were all having a sad moment and it was a really sad day. I remember actually crying and shedding a tear because, well, I'm gonna be honest, it's not easy seeing people go away in your life. If anything, if you guys have ever had someone really close to you pass away, comment down below and RIP to them. But I remember as I was like, you know, staring down and hearing this whole ceremony, I recognized that someone ended up walking up beside me. And when I looked over to see who it was his girlfriend. His girlfriend ended up looking at me saying, Baba, this is so sad. I never thought this would happen. Yeah, no, honestly, it's really sad. I can't imagine how you're feeling right now. Yeah, like, you have no idea. Like, he cared so much about us. And, you know, if he was here right now, I'm sure he would cheer us up. Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, it's, like I said, it's sad. The only thing we can do is just let him rest in peace. I remember after that conversation, she ended up holding my hand. And I felt really uncomfortable the fact that she did that. But to be fair, I didn't want to, like, swipe my hand away from her because her parents were watching as well. But I will say this. The parents that were there for losing their son, well, they weren't really happy about that. Because I remember afterwards, when the funeral was over, we all ended up heading over to his house. And when we were at his house, I remember we were all wearing black, just walking around, and we were all drinking apple juice. Yes, we were drinking apple juice because we were too young to drink. And basically, as we were walking around and stuff, I remember I ended up walking around, talking to people and telling them how it's sad and, you know, sharing moments like how you would usually do at a funeral after party, if it's even called a party, but you know what I mean. And as I was talking to some people, I ended up recognizing that the girl that, you know, was the dead guy's girlfriend ended up walking up to me again. She walked up to me and she kept basically latching her arm over me. And I felt really, really weird about it because, like, I don't know, I didn't want to look like I was stealing his girl even though he just died. So I remember I kept, like, you know, basically like keeping my distance. And well, one thing led to another. She ended up disappearing. I didn't know where she went, but to be honest, it wasn't my problem. Honestly, I was there to basically, you know, let out some memories about this guy, and that's really much it. But then I remember a girl ends up walking up to me saying, hey, are you Bubba? Yeah, what's going on? Well, the girlfriend of the guy who passed away is upstairs in his old bedroom, and like, she doesn't want to leave it, and honestly, she keeps crying and asking for you. At that moment, I didn't really know what to do or what to say. I didn't know if I should send, you know, one of the parents up and everything, but knowing that they already were really mad at me, I decided to go up there myself. I went up the stairs to this guy's old bedroom, you know, dead boyfriend, and I looked around his room and I saw her sitting on the bed crying. I remember I walked up to her and said, hey, like, you shouldn't cry. Like, honestly, like, he's probably looking down on us right now in happiness. And when I said that, right away, I ended up sitting right beside her, but I knew that was a big mistake because I remember she ended up grabbing me by my shirt, pulling me in and kissing me. I remember I pushed back and I'm like, wait, what are you doing? And that's when she said the words, Bubba, you do realize this is what he would want. Are you really gonna not do what he wants us to do? Wait, what? Wants us to do what? And that's when me and her, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. I know it sounds insane that this girl ended up gaslighting me to basically do the Devil's Tango with her because her dead boyfriend wanted us to do it. But I'm gonna be honest here, like, I was just trying to make the guy upstairs and her happy. So I remember me and her were doing the Devil's Tango. But the worst thing ended up happening because I remember I ended up hearing the door open to his bedroom, and it was legit the dead guy's parents walking in saying, what are you guys doing in this room? You guys have no respect? And this girl had the audacity, while she was not wearing anything, saying to these parents, oh, this is like what he would have wanted. You don't understand. What? I remember I ended up getting my clothes on as fast as possible and I just left. I got in my car and drove home thinking, what in the world did I just do? To this day, I always have regret from doing that. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, you know, maybe this is what he would have wanted. I don't know. If you guys think that this is totally crazy and a fake story, then comment down below and subscribe for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. Okay, so funerals are meant to be really sad. And honestly, funerals are really sad because people get in their emotions, people start crying, people start getting really sad. But there was one moment back when I was a kid, this funeral ended up being the most sussest funeral of them all. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to a super embarrassing story. Now, before the story starts, just make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe, because if you guys don't subscribe, I will gladly punch a hole through your monitor or whatever screen you're watching this on. If you're watching it on a phone, chances are I will punch it through your phone. No, seriously, I will straight, never mind. Anyways, let's just jump straight into this. So this story all starts off back when I was in high school. It was my grade 10 year, and I remember basically in my grade 10 year, there was a girl that I knew that was really good friends with me. Now, me and her, we were really good friends, but like in a way, I guess we were friends with benefits. I don't know. It was a really awkward situation because obviously like she like had like a liking for a different guy, but she enjoyed my eggplant more than that guy. I don't know the whole situation with her, and to be honest, That's her story to tell, not mine. But basically, I was friends with benefits with this one girl. Now, this one girl, I remember one time, it was in the middle of science class and she came up to me. Now, she wasn't in my science class. She literally just decided to walk through the door and look at me saying, I really need to talk to you. And when I looked at her, I thought something was totally wrong. So I remember I walked out of the classroom and my teacher let me for some reason. And I stood out in the hallway looking at her saying, is everything good? What's wrong? She looked at me and said, I'll be honest with you here. I have a really bad situation. What's your situation? What did you do? Now, me in my mind, I thought this girl was going to tell me that she had like an STD and she passed it on to me and I was about to freak out. But then she ended up saying, remember that guy I was seeing? Yeah, the one you like? Well, he ended up getting in a really bad car accident and like he died. Now, at this moment, I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't smiling, nor was I laughing. I had more of a shocked expression face that the Joker would make. Where it's like you know, one of the, like, you know, it sounds really bad when I say it, but you know what? It was one of those really sad, but like, whoa, really? Not surprising kind of moments. Because this guy was totally deluded and he would always drink and drive. He would always do drugs and drive. And by the way, don't do any of those. If you guys want to be smart and you guys want to be safe drivers or safe high schoolers or smart people on the road, don't be on a substance. It is not smart. I shouldn't have to mention that on this channel. It just should be common sense. But anyways, going on with the story, I remember when she told me that, I kind of like eked out a little bit and I didn't know what to say. But then she ended up handing me a flyer saying, I'm going to his funeral next week. Is it cool if you come with me? I just don't want to be alone and I just want to have a familiar face. Yeah, sure. I'll go to his funeral, I guess. Now, honestly, I think that was one of the first times I ever been invited to a funeral and I didn't know what to do nor say. But basically, I remember from there, I ended up going back to my science classroom and when I walked back in, everyone was looking at me and the flyer I was holding. And that's when they were kind of shocked about how I was invited to go to this guy's funeral, even though all I did was just sleep with the girl that he was gonna be seeing, that he was planning on seeing. I don't know. It was one of those situations. But going on, I remember the next week came around and I remember I was putting on my black suit and black tie and just totally all black outfit. And I was getting ready for this funeral. My mom came downstairs and told me how, you know, I should be respectful and how I should not be, you know, making any jokes, nothing funny. And I told her, I know what a funeral is like, mom. Like, I've seen it in video games, okay? Like, I know how to chill out in a funeral. And then afterwards, she ended up telling me, okay, Baba, just make sure you make smart decisions, okay? This is a very serious time. Gotcha. Is what I told her. And then that's when I ended up basically getting ready and I ended up getting in my car, driving to the girl's place, picking her up and driving straight to the funeral. Now, I remember on the way to the funeral house, she ended up like literally tearing up and crying. And me, I really did not want to be there at that moment because obviously like what was I supposed to do? But then afterwards, I remember we went to the funeral, we ended up sitting down and that's when the whole ceremony began. You know, everyone was all sad. People were crying. Parents were crying. And honestly, it was a pretty sad moment. But one thing I started realizing was that the girl beside me, I don't know why she wasn't crying. I looked over at her and I'm like, this was literally the guy you were gonna see. Why aren't you crying? I didn't say it to her, but obviously that's what I was thinking. But then she looks over at me when I'm staring at her and she looks at me right into my eyes and she looks at me saying, Baba, I'm in the mood. What? Now, if you guys don't know what the mood is, the mood is basically my signal or my cue to whip out my schlong and start ramming it in her. I couldn't do that when we were in a funeral. She looks over at me and she's like, Baba, I think this is what he would have wanted. She ends up grabbing my thigh. And at that moment, I'm like, yo, like you need to chill. Like we're literally in the middle of a funeral. Now, honestly, I'm not surprised that you want to, you know, do the devil's tango. I'm not gonna lie, like I look good in a suit. I always look good in a suit. I look godly in a suit. But the fact that this girl wanted to do it in a funeral house blew my mind. But obviously, you know, one of the things about my friends with benefits is that it's basically like a contract deal. Like whenever the girl wants it, she gets it. So at that moment, I'm thinking, okay, we could go to my car, but my car is parked all the way like downstairs and people would notice us leaving. What if we like go around the back? I'm not really sure what I was supposed to do. So at that moment, I remember this girl ended up standing up in the middle of a funeral speech and she ends up looking at me saying, bathroom in 2 minutes. She ends up going to the bathroom and then afterwards I sit there. I literally put like a timer on my watch, my Apple Watch at the time that I had. Yeah, I had an Apple Watch. I know I'm cool. I ended up putting a timer for 2 minutes. Right when the 2-minute mark hit, I remember I started getting up and I went straight to the bathroom as well. When I went to the bathroom, I ended up entering inside there and yeah, we ended up making out in the bathroom and we did the devil's tango at this dude's funeral. Now, many of you guys are saying that this was the most wrong thing ever and I'm probably gonna go to hell for this, and yeah, you're maybe right, but at the same time though, like I was doing this girl justice because like, you know, at the same time though, wouldn't this guy want this girl to be happy? Huh? You know what I'm saying? No, you know what, actually I don't know what I'm saying either. You know what, this story's been going on for too long, but that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.